best makeup tutorial to look pretty AF. First things first, tight lining the upper lash line. You will need the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist in the shade Graphite. That is my ride or die. Taking it all the way into the inner corner and beginning to extend the inner corner of the eye with it. Grab a fluffy blender brush for the crease, taking any neutrals palette. Today I'm using the Jeffree Star Orgy palette and dipping into your first crease color. In this case for me, I'll be going in with the color Bottom and buffing it into my crease starting in the outer V of the eye, concentrating the color here and then bringing it around into the socket and making sure to lightly bring it down into the inner corner around the socket. So you're creating a frame around the socket of your eye in the crease. Now taking a smaller fluffy blender brush and going into a color 1 to 2 shades lighter than the first color. Going in here to the shade Knee Pads and taking it 50% above and 50% into the original color. With light scratching motions, blend, of course, blending all the way into the inner part of the eye, continuing that shape that we want, but just getting it softer. If you look at the difference between my left eye and my right eye, you can see it's already getting softer and prettier and more blown out. This next step is super important if you want to get a perfect blend. Reverse, going back into the crease with the same original color. So I'll be taking the large fluffy brush, going back into Bottom, tapping off the excess, and going right back into the crease, starting in the outer V. Circular motions to blend and bringing it all the way around, giving it that nice blended softness. Grab a large flat shader and dip it into this color here, Implant, and bringing it all over the lid, starting at the inner corner. Now this is super important, taking it and almost like if you're giving it a carved out crease, like cutting the crease, just not with cream. So you're doing it softly and building it up with powder. This really opens out the eye in the best way, without having to do all the work of a cut crease. Now with nothing left on the brush, take it and just simply pat the space between the lighter shade and the deeper shade to blend. Patting, not swiping, not rubbing, patting, giving it a soft blend. Now remember, you don't have to use this specific palette. You can use any neutrals palette of yours. Grabbing a brow bone brush, tiny flat brush to go onto the brow bone. Going into a very light shade, I'll be going into the shade Vanilla Latex and just bringing that onto the eyebrow at the arch and bringing it out. Ignore the fact that I need to wax my brows, guys. I'm grabbing a super tiny blender and just blending where the brow highlight was placed. The blend is extremely important. It's not a difficult look, but the blend is important. Eyes aren't even fully done yet and the eyes look pretty AF. This next step is non-negotiable. You must use MAC Eye Kohl in Teddy. This is such a slept-on bronzy shade. It will make your eyes look so sparkly, so smoldery in the best way. Grabbing the pencil and just bringing it into your lower lash line. And before it has time to set, taking a pencil brush and blending out, starting at the outer edge. And the closer you come to the inner corner, the closer you come to the lash line. Now using a flat top brush, going back into the eyeshadow palette, dipping back into the first color that we went into the crease with, Bottom, bringing it right along that lash line, pressing and policing. And going back in with the pencil brush, dipping back into the second crease color and buffing it out gently. Making sure right at this outer edge that everything is seamlessly blended together. Taking a tiny wing eyeliner brush, wet the brush, dipping back into the neutrals palette and just grabbing the black color and going over the inner corner wing to ensure that it stays put. It also darkens and sharpens it a bit. To make sure that that inner corner extension stays, going in with the Makeup Forever Aqua Seal. This is going to make it transfer proof and waterproof. Taking a tiny bit of it, just dipping it onto my pinky finger and dabbing it on the back of my hand and bringing it with that finger onto the wing. There, and it's set for the day. And doing the same thing all night on the inner corner of the other side. For complexion, going in with the Pure 4-in-1 primer. So I'm using the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation. Adding my foundation to my palette. Just one pump for now. Next step is liquid blush. This is a coral liquid blush that I've added. And blending out with the other side of the brush. Going in with two concealers, one close to my skin tone. This is Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Tan Deep Sand, and a very pink concealer. This is in the shade Rosy Pale from Lock. First placing the skin tone concealer under the eyes, just patting to break up that darkness under the eye. Bringing it here where I have a little bit of a fold to lift the area. Now going in with a brightening concealer. Down the bridge of the nose, along the outer corner of the mouth, on the chin, on the forehead. And mixing in on the forehead some of the darker concealer and on the chin and around the mouth. I'll also be brightening the inner corners of the eyes with it. Leaving the under eyes to sit for just a moment and blending in everything with the brush. By putting the blush first, you get to use the concealer to tone it down without leaving any lines of demarcation in your makeup. Ensure there are no creases under the eye. Look up, taking a powder puff, dipping it into a pink powder. This is Cream Puff from Artist Couture. Evening the powder out in the back of the hand and pressing into the skin and doing the same on the other under eye. Next, going into a bright under eye setting powder, I'll be using Sacha Buttercup Light. Taking the same puff, dipping it into that loose setting powder, doing the same thing, evening it out of the back of the hand, and looking up, baking and setting the under eye. And yes, I did purposely leave the highlight on my nose. Now you're going to blend it out. The under eyes are baking, taking a setting powder that is your actual skin tone and beginning to set the center of the forehead, the nose, around the nose, around the mouth, beneath the cheekbones, of the cheeks itself, apple of the cheeks, of course bringing it down the neck. Now to bronze and contour, you're going in with not a bronzer or a contour powder, but a face setting powder that's 1 to 2 shades deeper than your skin tone. This is Artist Couture Multi's Beauty Powder in the shade Caramel Delight. Going in with a contour brush and going to the top of the ear, sculpting the cheekbones, the jawline. And if you want the jawline to be extra snatched, you're taking a line straight from here, the end of the jaw, back of the jaw, down to here. Blend it down the neck and look at the difference. Way more sculpted on this side than this side. And do the same on the other side. And let's not forget the forehead, of course. You can see the stark difference between the right side of my face and the left side of my face. I'm contouring the nose with a tiny brush. Bring the contour into the socket of the eye. And as close to the top of the nose as you can. And lifting through the nostrils, shortening the nose, and creating that little cute button effect. Going in with a small brush within the same under eye setting powder, cream puff, and bringing it down the bridge of the nose to set with patting motions. And just tapping it in with your fingers. For the under eyes, taking an under eye brush, pressing in the powder first, and then dusting away any excess. A little more color to the cheek, going in with powdered blush. This is Love Sprung palette from Artist Couture, Volume 1. Dipping into the shade Swoon Me. Such a pretty shade. Trust me, a little goes a long way with this. Tap off that excess and pat it onto the cheeks, taking it into the temple. And if you do what I just did there and brought it down a little too low, come back in with your foundation brush and just go over this spot. The cheekbones look nice, high and lifted. Spraying some setting spray to bring some life back to the skin after all the powders. Going in with highlight. Now the highlight for down the nose is a non-negotiable. It must be Artist Couture in the shade Coco Bling. Now taking a tiny brush, because a little goes a long way with this. That's all you need, a little dip. Tap off the excess, bringing it down the bridge of the nose just to a halfway point about here. Grabbing a little more and bringing it to the very tip of the nose to create that highlight. And tapping it with the finger. And for highlighting the rest of the face, going in with Artist Couture, Addicted to Light highlight. Okay, mine broke, so don't judge it. I had to pat it back into the case and bringing it to the top of the cheekbone, Cupid's bow, and the inner corner of the eyes. Right above the inner corner extension. Going back in with a setting spray to lengthen the longevity of the makeup. This is a L'Oreal Infallible. Now going in with mascara. This is Melt Cosmetics Supernatural Lash in the color Ultra Black. While the mascara is setting, now lips. Yes, not one, but two lip pencils, both Too Faced Lip Injection. I line the border of my lips with Cinnamon Swell. Bring it in the outer corners. Fill in pockets, then going in with Puffy Nude in the center. This is such an underrated brush. This is a lip smudge brush from Real Techniques. Taking it and blending out any harsh lines between the two colors. Topping it with the Tarte Maracuja Lip Plump in the shade Peach Shimmer Glass. And finally, to complete the look, a pair of flared lashes. Yes, it must be flared lashes. This is doll's lashes in the style Kailynn. Complete this pretty AF look, the eyelashes must be flared. Final step, clamping the eyelashes together with your real lashes. You need an eyelash clamper like this, eyelash curler that has open sides. Bring it over. Give it a couple pumps. Wait for the glue to dry as well. And there you have it, the best makeup tutorial to look pretty AF. Try it and tag me down below and let me know how it goes.